Uh, all right. I'm live. That's nice. Okay, so another stream here on Sunday morning, 8 o'clock here in Europe, Central European time. Yeah, this is going to be very fun. All right, so going to talk a bit about the game and how development is going, and maybe some of the stuff as well, since it's going to be hard to talk about that for an hour straight. Yeah, hope you find that fun. Okay, so now I'm watching my own stream on my phone. Very nice. So now I know that I'm at least listener to myself. Very good. Very nice. Okay, so let's share this in the Discord so that people are aware. If we could get at least a few people to join, that would be very nice. Very nice indeed. Highly appreciated. Guessing a lot of Americans are probably awake right now. Still. It's quite late for them, but very early in Europe, so might get a few people to join, hopefully. It would be slightly sad if I was the only person who watched the stream for the entire stream. That would be not so nice. Okay, so what am I doing right now? Well, I am programming. That's what I'm doing. As you see, I have ChatGPT open here, as you do, and trying to get some stuff working. All right, here's the plan. Do. They fail at a low level. Drop in. Yes, sounds good. The ChatGPT. Oh, another person's watching. That's nice. Hello, who are you? Welcome to the stream. Okay, no response in chat. That's unfortunate. Sword doesn't deal damage below right of player. Yeah, that makes sense. Every frame in world space. Where inside game did we finish? Okay. Okay, give me a second here. Where is this variable being used? It's being used in here to determine the direction. Yeah, that makes sense. And then, oh yeah, makes sense. All right. And then we have, and it's being, yeah, declared over there. And then down here, it's used for the drawing as well. Okay. Yeah, I see now the problem. This isn't being updated at all. So we have to paste this code and put it, I guess we can put it by the delta time here. DT, delta time, get frame time. It's basically a way of making it so that you move, the game runs, like things happen equally fast regardless of the frame rate. So if I have, because otherwise if the length of a step is like fixed, yeah, I would move like way faster on high FPS since it can run the game faster and therefore do more steps in a shorter time. Whilst if I have bad FPS, then it's going to be really slow. So what delta time basically does is that it can check how long it was since last frame. So if I have very high frame rate, all the movement and stuff is going to be much smaller and look more smooth. Okay, another person. Whoa, this is going well so far. Usually the streams don't get any views this early. Welcome. Feel free to say something in the chat or something. That would be very cool, since I have no idea if who you are. All right, so that should be the entire fix. Yeah. Yes, I don't need to explain explanation. No. Using ChatGPT like this to just debug is actually quite nice. What I do is that I send like the entire zipped folder of the game that I download from GitHub, and I send it to ChatGPT and tell it, can you please debug why this isn't working? And it can open the files and look for like an explanation, and then it comes up with a conclusion, which a lot of the time it's actually correct, but sometimes it's just totally confused. So yeah. Yeah, now I'm the only one watching my stream again. Well, that's fun. That's fun. Okay, so let's get back to debugging this. Fix, update mouse world every frame in world space. Yes, done that. Blaster rotates slightly with player movement, not towards mouse. Root cause, same as above. Ah, so this should... Yeah, this should be fixed now, yeah. Makes a lot of sense, makes a lot of sense. A whole lot of sense. Bullets don't spawn visible touch don't hit. There are 3 separate issues here. You'll need all 3 fixes. Okay, alright. 3A, input gate prevents spawning. Comments versus code mismatch. Your comment says ranged on right click, but the code requires right held and left press. Yeah, that's intentional. Should probably change the comment though, that's a ChatGPT thing. So let's see here now. Delete that. Nice. I've written most of the code myself, but sometimes I just use ChatGPT for easy tasks. Or things that I just genuinely don't understand, or that I need to have done quickly. Most of the time it goes really well when I do that. And what I often end up doing is that I just redesign it for fun after learning how it works. So yeah, ChatGPT can be used in... AI can be used in a lot of ways for learning. What I don't recommend is that you fully rely on it. You should use it as a tool for learning. So just copy and pasting things and never really looking into what they do and how it works, that is long term a very bad idea, because then you're going to have so much code that you just don't at all understand, and that's not good. Plus, the less dependent you are on AI, the better, because you can then code more independently. So my recommendation is that you try to solve problems on your own, and then if you just have no idea, or then try to ask about the concepts that you need to learn about to do the thing that you want to do. Alternatively, you can just ask for the entire code for the thing and then go through it later. I've done that sometimes, and yeah, that often works quite well. There's a lot of math concepts when it comes to vectors and things that are very hard to understand. Like, I don't really this normalization thing and stuff, it's complex. I barely understand this by looking at it. I have to like go through it to get what it means. Okay, so let's go. Oh shoot, I clicked wrong button. That's not good. All right, so 3A input gate. Yeah, that's that problem does not exist. That's a fake problem. Bullet rectangles are computed in tiles, but positioned in pixels. Okay. Width slash height truncate to 0 and collisions are nonsense. That's pretty. You currently mix spaces in both update and draw. File update world collision plus enemy. This is actually something I should think about. Great stream, you say? Maybe so. Yeah, so yeah, pretty great stream. Are you watching right now? Okay, now we have 2 people watching. That's nice. Very nice. From Discord, maybe. Yeah, I don't know who's watching. Someone's watching. I said it last time someone was watching. Please say something in the chat so I have something to talk about. That would be very nice. Okay, so 3B, bullet rectangles are computed in tiles, but positioned in pixels. Width, height, truncate to 0. And collisions are nonsense, yeah? That sounds like a problem. Okay, now the person left. That's nice. Update world collision plus enemy collision. Alright. Alright. Replace the rect code block plus enemy collision. Okay, so here we have the full update projectiles function. I'm going to trust that this should work. Hope it does. It looks a lot like what I already have, so still has the yeah yeah, it has the bullets dot erase down there, so you can do this. Bada boom. Okay. All right. Project if false, return. Yep, makes a lot of sense. Don't really like the style that ChatGPT makes the code in. It's too much spacing and stuff, in my opinion. At least it doesn't look like this. That's just disgusting. Okay. All right. So let's look at the last one here. Blaster sprite sheets don't match the asset. Cosmetic but confusing. I see. Yeah, this is also like a fake problem, because it should work anyway. It's just that it isn't adapted for the weapon itself doesn't have a shooting animation, but it still will animate. So yeah, it's wrong, but it should be displayed anyway. Thinking about how this works. So this stream is going great. Have like no people watching it. That's very nice. Yeah, so going to have a video release quite soon as well. Yeah, or so I've heard from Walnut at least. So we'll see how that goes. Might be that it releases as soon as, well, today, maybe. I'm not really sure. Whoa. Okay, that's great. Yeah, okay, this is what I live for. Oh, this is great. This is so nice. Okay, so shoot that one. Dead. Pew pew. Okay, this is just beautiful. So as you see, it's a bit glitched. Also have a zoom thing as well. Also, the weapon doesn't rotate, but that's no surprise because I haven't added that in yet. And okay, that's interesting. It goes slower when I zoom in. Highly interesting. Alright. Like, it should be visually faster when I zoom in. Sounds logical to me anyway. And as you also see, the animation of the the animation of the gun is totally messed up. Um, yeah, but that's fine. It's just that I haven't added it in, so the entire gun should be displayed, but instead it's like jumping from the handle to the middle to the front of the gun, as if that's the animation. So that's a bit weird, and you might say that the gun is a bit overpowered since it one-shots everything as well. It's because it does like 20 damage, and enemies only have. Let's see here now. Does this work? Yep, the sword works. It has a massive range, even though it's extremely tiny. That's kind of funny. Okay. Pew 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 pew. Okay, now we have 3 people again. That's incredible. Okay, now I can go to the next level. Nice. Oh, I don't even have to hold right click. Okay. Yeah, it's just there until it's not there. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. For some reason, the rectangle looks like that. I must have written some number wrong. Yeah, so this is level 2 right now. As you see, it's very small and there's nothing here at all. So that's something that someone should do, I think. Oh, I see another thing that's wrong. The gun doesn't rotate after having rotated 90 degrees. Ah, yeah, that's something that I should fix. I see, I see. Since when it goes to like this, so at first this looks fine, this looks fine, this looks fine, this looks fine, but now it's starting to go upside down, and that's not something I want. I want the gun to always be facing up, kind of, if that makes sense. So when it's on pointing to this side, I want it to be the other way around. You see what I mean? Yeah. Uh, so that's how I want it to be. Well, it works anyway. That's very nice. And then the sword has to rotate also. And maybe not be at his feet. That would also be a good improvement of how it is right now. So yeah. Looks quite well. Sanity note. Okay. Such a ChatGPT thing to say. Say the thing to say. Yeah. All right. All right. So now we have that working kind of. Should also maybe change the size. Oh, now we have 5 people watching. Wow. Okay, so spawn projectile. Yes, that function is right here. This is basically the thing that determines the size and the shape and the speed and everything of the projectiles that get spawned. I should probably have this connected to the weapon system itself, since the weapons are those that are going to be firing the projectiles. So it kind of makes sense to have them linked. Uh, as right now, I have to like manually spawn the projectile when I shoot the weapon, if that makes sense. So yeah, let's change the size a bit. Let's make it like 5 by 5 maybe. 5 pixels width and 5 height. That should look nice. Okay, now I'm the only one watching again. That's so cool. Let's also change the speed from super fast to kind of slow. Or actually, it was kind of nice to have it fast. We can have it at 1000. That should look good. All right. Yes. So this looks quite good, yeah. Yeah. So now we can maybe do some kind of check for if the weapon is upside down or not. If so, it's going to. I remember that this was kind of hard for some reason and confusing. I don't really know how this works actually. I have to check like when the direction is past a certain angle. Yeah, that's quite hard. How do I even do that? Hundreds of people are watching? Okay. Wow. That's a whole lot more than I thought. Alright. Can I just do like check if the deer is over 180 or something? I'm pretty sure that is that the problem? No? Okay. Wait, direction is a oh yeah, I'm stupid. That's direction is the that's a vector. Yeah. How the heck do I convert a vector to like degrees? Angle. Uh, is this like a ChatGPT situation? How do I check if the gun is upside down? The thing is that I've solved this problem before on my own. So, but I just can't remember how I did it. I've basically rewritten the entire system for weapons. So you see, there's a weapon namespace now. So if I follow this, I go to this header file called items.hpp, and it has these two, melee weapon and ranged weapon, which are actually of the item system namespace and are called the same thing. I'm just using to make it a bit shorter to define them, and also less confusing. So yeah, basically the weapon namespace, all it does is that it's a place where I can store new weapons that I create. So that's all it does. Whilst the item system, it kind of has all the logic behind what a melee weapon and ranged weapon is, you could say. So I have this melee weapon called sword and this ranged weapon called blaster, and then I also have this weapon switch. It's basically a rudimentary way of saying that now I want to have the melee weapon toggled, and now I want to have the range weapon toggled. So it's a way of determining which weapon I should hold in my hand and should be updated right now. And here we just have the enum equipped. Equipped as in, now I'm holding the sword, or now I'm holding the blaster. So when I'm drawing things and updating things, I always check which one is equipped. Yeah, so it's a neat way of using an enum to make it a bit more readable. Like in reality, I could do something like having an int ID, and then like checking if the ID is equal to 1 or 2, and I could say that 1 equals sword and 2 equals blaster. That's the exact same thing. It's just that enums are more readable, and that's a very big thing when it comes to programming, is that it's supposed to be readable. If your code doesn't make any sense, even to yourself, well, it's going to be very hard to follow what's happening and expand on it later. So yeah, and here I just have an implementation file, rather file with just the definitions of what the sword and the blaster does. So whenever I want to add in a new weapon, I just declare it as extern in this file, and then I go into here and I actually define what properties the new weapon is going to have. So you can see here I have this melee weapon called sword, and it's equal to items create melee weapon. This is a function that I made earlier, and it's part of the item system. And here I encountered a bit of a problem, because I can't actually I can't actually load the texture as soon as like this file is compiled, because that wouldn't be good, because that's going to be before even the that's going to be before this command, the init window. So that's not good at all. That's going to crash the game. So therefore I have to default construct them, and then down here have this load textures function that sets the sprite to the actual texture that I want to load. I hope that made some sense. The problem basically is that I can't actually load the texture as soon as I define what the sword is, because that wouldn't work. But rather I have to load them all at once at a later point. So yeah, for a sword, for example, which is a melee weapon, so a melee weapon has a damage, a cooldown, which I've at this point set to 0. That's too little though, so we can put it to 0.1 maybe, or maybe 0.2. I think that makes sense. And we can have 0.2 at this one as well. The cooldown is just how long it takes until it can do its ability again, kind of. So if I attack with the sword, I can't just spam it, you know. And then we have a range of 100. I think we can cut that in half, and also I think the arc is a bit too big as well. Let's put it at like 80 maybe. I think that makes sense. It's a very short sword, you know. And then we also have a name for it. I'm not sure if this is entirely necessary. It might be good for like identifying the sword or something. You could use this for like searching for it in an array or something. But that's not something that I'm going to do anyway, I don't think. Rather, I think it's going to be good for like just displaying as text on screen maybe. I'm not really sure. Yeah, so those are the parameters for a melee weapon. And then here we have the ranged weapon, blaster, and it has its own create function. And then we do the same thing, we default construct the texture, which this, by the way, is part of the Raylib library, so that's where it's from. And then we can go back to here, and it also has a damage parameter, a cooldown parameter, a range parameter. I don't really remember what the range does for a ranged weapon. It might be that it just the yeah, actually that probably doesn't do anything. Cooldown seconds, range pixels. Yeah. So then we have projectile speed. This as well probably doesn't do anything yet, since all of that is defined when I send away the bullet with the spawn projectile. So we have two parameters here that don't do anything actually. So basically it's only the damage and the cooldown and the name, of course. And then down here I just define what sprite sheet I want to use, and also like the properties of the sprite sheet. So this is the number of columns. 3 basically means that it's going to look for, it's going to check for, like, this is the first column, so this is going to be used like at the first animation tick, you could say. And then this is the second one, and this is the third one. If I would have it as the opposite and have 1 column and 3 rows, then this would be the first one, and this one below would be the second one, and this would be the third one. So it would be vertical instead. That is something that is, you can do that as well, but doing it horizontally is often easier. And then this number, that's barely, what's that? I think that's that's idle frames. So basically, if I want a frame that doesn't do anything, I can put that in there. And then we have the attack frames. So 1 and 2, that's the frames where it's going to actually deal damage. And then attack duration seconds. So you see the sword attack is very quick, and the blaster one is slow. Yes, welcome to the chat, to the stream. Finally, something actually says something in chat. That's very nice. Okay, so all right, I've gone through most of the item system now. I guess I could go and check on the item system here. So, as you see in like the code style of this, I have not written this. This is all ChatGPT. So what I did is that I basically just asked ChatGPT, "Can you make this for me?" And it made it for me, and then I've done some debugging and fixing it on my own. So it's a collaboration, you could say, between me and AI. And then this is the result. I haven't looked through it that well. That's why I don't know every property of it that well. And I'm probably going to, as I always do when it comes to having AI do things for me, I'm going to try to look this through more thoroughly in the future and try to learn everything that's in here. For example, what does virtual mean? I've forgotten. I like searched that up 3 times and I still forget. Can do that right now actually. Virtual C++. Virtual functions are a key part of polymorphism. They let different objects respond differently to the same function call. Okay, that was very descriptive. Let's check here with Microsoft Learn. The visual C++ redistributed blah, 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 blah. Okay. I see now. Virtual function. A virtual function, also known as virtual methods, is a member function that is declared within a base class. Hey, hello, Zebracle. Nice. A virtual function is a member. Okay, yeah, I don't really understand that. That can be overridden in derived classes. Oh, okay. So basically, I can say that you can change this in. So if I have a class that inherits from the weapon class, which I actually do, I have the melee weapon and then I have the ranged weapon class. They inherit from the weapon class. So basically they can have their own constructors. I see. That kind of makes sense, I guess. Yeah. My thought is that the weapon class, which the ranged and melee weapon classes inherit from, I'm going to use that as well. But that's going to be for like more complex weapons that are not going to be definable as a melee or ranged weapon, because the weapon class, it has like all the base features, so but it's very generic. You can see it has a damage, it has a cooldown, it has a timer that's basically just for checking when to go do the next animation tick, and it has a sprite, it has the range, and it has a name. So if I were to create like a magic wand or something that does something, that would be neither a melee weapon or ranged weapon, kind of. So then I could define that as just a weapon and then add in its unique properties. That's my thought, at least. So yeah, and here is just a lot of math, kind of. All it calculates really is that the sector, the circled sector of which the melee attack is going to deal damage, kind of. I could do like some paint explanation of this. That's something I do a lot of, actually. Okay, so if we have the player right here, yes, I have expert drawing skills. That's actually terrible now. I'll have to delete that. So this is the player, and okay, now it's in the corner, kind of more. Well, now it is like that. Then I have like an enemy over here. Maybe do that in another color. Can I also like change the brush to something, a marker maybe? Yeah. Okay, that didn't work how I expected it to. And we have an enemy over here, and one here maybe, and one here. So now what I have to do, let's change back to the brush here instead. Maybe we can even have a shape for this. That would be very useful. Yeah, I guess we could just do this with some lines here. And then I want to do an attack with my sword, and it's kind of a swing. So then we want it to have, we want to be able to define exactly what area is a virtual support dynamic dispatch. Oh, okay. The overriding behavior is preserved even if. Okay, I think I kind of get it. I'm not that experienced with object-oriented programming, so yeah. We actually have 6 people watching right now. That's crazy. Okay, let's go on with my explanation here. So, what I want to do is that I want to have an area that's kind of like a circle sector. So it looks like realistic with the swing motion of the sword. That everything within should take damage, kind of. So we can define that. We can say that, okay, so this is, how large is that? That's like 100 degrees, maybe. Okay, I'm not good at writing. Okay, so, yeah, that's, hope that writing is good enough for you to read. Dang, this guy's nose. It is declared in the class definition explanation virtual functions are member functions whose behavior can be overridden in derived classes, as opposed to non-virtual functions. The overriding behavior is preserved even if there is no compile time information about the actual type of the class. That is to say, if a derived class is handled using pointer or reference to the base class, a call to an overridden virtual. I see. YouTube's character limit is a pain. Yeah, I understand. Maybe there's some kind of stream setting for that. I don't know. Okay, so here I can define the angle, and the range is basically just this part. So we can say that we can invent some kind of random number here. Yeah, I know, 7 people are watching. Crazy, you know? So we can say that this distance is 100 something. The number doesn't really care. We just have to come up with an arbitrary number to represent this distance. And then I want to check if what's within this circle sector. That's what this does, all of this. And it's a lot of math. And I'm not super great at math. So that's why I had ChatGPT just do this for me. And it should work. And I should learn about it sometime. So yeah. What it does is that it first has to figure out kind of the direction, and then it does by normalizing a vector. So you can have like this is something that I actually learned about not long ago, but let's see if I'm learning it good enough to explain it in a way that makes sense. So basically we have a player that's here, and then we have an enemy that's over here. We want a way to, with 2 numbers, represent the direction the player is, the direction the player is pointing to, if it's pointing to the enemy. I hope this explanation makes any sense at all. So what we can do is that we can convert this into like a grid here. Okay, yeah, I can't do it like this. This is even too bad for being me. So let's do it with lines like this. Doesn't have to be symmetric and all. Yeah, this is good enough. Okay, 7 people again. Wow, how are people actually enjoying this stream? That's crazy. Okay, so then we can say this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, and yeah, so on. And then oh shoot, that's not good. And then the same thing with the y, you know. So we can say that whoa, how does this work now again? If the enemy is, this is embarrassing. I don't remember how to do normalization anymore. So with the player is 0, 0. And what we have to do is that we have to, like, this direction, we have to make it within this kind of. Yeah, this makes no sense even to myself. Here you see all my ChatGPT questions as well. That's very nice. Where did I ask about this? Was it here? Did I ask about it in... Yeah. Well, normalization is something that's very cool. If I can remember the math for it. Where the heck is the thing? Okay, I can't even remember the chat. It's something that you have to like multiply it with something, and it'd be hilarious if you put ChatGPT in the credits. Sure, I could do that. That would be quite hilarious. ChatGPT is like the most helpful person in this project. I wouldn't even be like a fourth as far into this as I am if it wasn't for ChatGPT. So I owe a lot to that machine. I have learned coding like only by learning from ChatGPT and YouTube. I have no other experience. That's all there is. I've watched like every single C++ tutorial on YouTube, it feels like, and then I've also asked ChatGPT about like specific things. So I remember when I did this was like one of my first coding projects ever. Or actually, it was the first one, I think. So I was going to make a chatbot with Python, and I was just amazed at how much things you can do. It felt totally limitless, you know. So I started out thinking like, okay, yeah, so I'm going to have to. It's going to have these different alternatives for what it can answer, and then it can randomly select from these answers, so in a way that makes sense. And then I got that working, and yeah, it was pretty cool. But then you can just go on and expand on the idea and go further and further until it's like you come to the point where it's totally unbelievable that you've managed to do what you're doing. And then I've basically just been doing that for a long time. I think I might even be able to find the project. Yeah, this is it. You see, this is not a lot of code. Should probably be able to just click run main. Okay. So here my chatbot informs me that according to social norms, it's your turn to talk now. Okay, nice. I can try to say hello. Hello there, it says. And then it once again says, according to social norms, it's your turn to talk now. So I can say something that makes no sense. Okay, let's see how it's... And then it says, that is hardly relevant. So it has like a default response thing as well. So if it doesn't have the response that I said in its dictionary, it doesn't know what it's supposed to answer. So therefore it just has a default response. And it randomly chooses a new answer from the possible answers, you could say. So here it says, that is hardly relevant, but it could also have said, that's an interesting theory, or I mean, I'm talking Swedish as well. Inga kommentarer, which means no comments in Swedish. And then it can say, according to my calculations, the chance of someone having asked that is less than the chance that I know German grammar. Whatever that's supposed to mean. Yeah, I'm showing my bot. I'm having a story time here. And then I can like do another one. I can ask, how are you? How are you? And it says, I am mostly brain dead, but I have a slight feeling that I want to conquer the world for some reason. And then I also added in the feature that if I say hello again, yes, so, nah, mine was better. Okay, so if I say hello, it says, I am sensing is a repetition in user underscore input at the moment. Does this mean anything to you? So I also added in another feature, which I was very proud of. That makes it possible for it to store all of the previous questions and answers in its memory. So if I ask them again, it's going to have a response saying that it's heard that one time before. And then it can also do this thing where it can ask you about something that you've said before. So you see here, now I asked it, I said D like a billion times, and then I said something else, and then it says, can you tell me more about D? Uh, so what it's done is that it's um, remembered that what I've said before, and then basically just asking me about it. So yeah, I added in some very basic memory stuff for it, so it can actually remember stuff. The next step from here would be to like include a CSV file or maybe a JSON file, something that can store all the answers and or questions, I mean, and then maybe like maybe that will make it so that it can learn and stuff. That would be quite cool. Maybe some AI stuff as well. That was quite far out of the scope of the project though at that time, since I basically didn't know anything about programming when I made that. So, and then I realized that I didn't really like Python that much, and I've just moved on to doing this instead. Programming is so fun. Yeah, we have 3 people now. It's fine. I had 7 people for a long time. That's at least something. Oh well. So, not sure what to do from here. Wait, why is this? Oh yeah, that's because I was writing code here and then I just wandered away from this problem. So, how do I even do this? What is this variable? Float. I think there's like some function for converting direction into a direction vector into a degrees number. How do I convert a direction vector into a into degrees, you know? This is so I can check the orientation of the gun. How do I do that? We've also been thinking and talking a bit about multiplayer, and when we started this project, I was quite bad at coding. I still am not great, but I'm above like intermediate level or at least beginner level now. so I can actually code things that aren't stupid. Um, so yeah, I've basically redone a lot of the things that I made early on because they were just so bad. Um, but the point is that I didn't really realize that making a multiplayer game is incredibly hard, and basically means that we will have to restructure everything about the game we've made so far. So our thought is that we maybe won't make this game multiplayer just because it isn't really worth the effort and doesn't really feel like a main focus of the game anyway. The point of this game is just it's going to be fun to play and there's going to be a cool story and cool weapons to collect. So yeah, I don't think that a multiplayer is something that's necessary or even more enjoyable in this case. We are thinking of making multiplayer games in the future, um, but maybe not for this game. Okay, we're going to have to check the. It's very very challenging. It was like 4 months ago. Yeah, it is challenging, but we also didn't really know what kind of game we were making 4 months ago. So, and I was like, well, yeah, I've learned to code in C++. What could be, what could be harder than that? So, yeah, I didn't really know it was going to be this hard. But we also like we didn't really know what game we were making. So this is kind of the conclusion that we are possibly or probably not making this game multiplayer. It has mostly to do with the fact that it might not be worth it more than that it's hard. That something is hard is not really a reason not to do it. It's just that it's not worth it. Kind of. Yeah, multiplayer is always a pain. We could do some kind of peer-to-peer solution for it, but that's generally a very bad idea, since that means that one player has to know the other player's IP address to play with them. So, yeah, that's something you could do. But what multiplayer games generally do, or almost exclusively do, is that they have a server and then the players can connect to the server. So they just have to know the IP address of the server itself. I hope that makes sense. That's a very high level explanation of how multiplayer works. So basically all the computing and running the server is on the server device itself. The actions of the players are being sent to the server so it can update like what's happening in the game. So yeah, we could have some implementation for that you can play on your local network. So if you have a friend over at your place, you can play this game together. But conventional server-based multiplayer, that might not be a thing at all at any point. So yeah. Also something that's good to talk about. Okay, let's actually read this ChatGPT thing. Okay, I just lost 2 viewers. That's nice. Okay, so now we have 4 people watching. Alright. Game plan, you want an angle in degrees from a 2D direction to check/drive the guns facing. The only gotcha is using the right trig function and keeping angles normalized to comparisons, like within arc. Okay, I didn't really understand what ChatGPT was saying there, but that sounds all right. Use Atan to yx, not Atan, to get the angle in radians. Yeah, so radians is also something that exists. It's a more confusing way of saying the same information as degrees. I have no idea how it works. It's just something that I have encountered a lot while working on the game. So that's another thing that I should be more knowledgeable about. It's a lot of things that you have to learn. You could maybe just add local multiplayer so that you only need one device instead of a LAN. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Atom 2 handles quadrants and x equals 0. Okay, not sure exactly what that means. Convert radians to degrees by multiplying with 180 divided by pi. Oh! Ah, I see what you're saying now. Ah, that makes sense, I guess. Makes some sense, at least. Okay, now we have 5 people again. Pretty cool. You don't need to normalize the vector to get its angle. Any non-zero direction works. In Rayleigh passing, degrees equals atom 2f direction dot y direction dot x times radians 2 degrees. To draw texture pro just works for mouse facing rotation. Okay, that's interesting. Interesting. All right. Radians measure the arc of the circle instead of some arbitrary number. Okay. So what does that mean? Is okay. Safe reusable helpers. Angle, degree, direction. Okay, now it's like making a whole system for converting things. Okay. This is such a ChatGPT thing to do. Const expr float radians 2 degrees. All right. Yeah, I don't really understand the math things here. Do I have to include something for this? C math, I think. Yeah, that's include. Do I have that included here? Pretty sure I do. Yeah, I do. Okay, nice. There's so many includes. So it's the actual length. Well, radians. The radius is of the segment of the circumference of the circle. It's the actual length. Okay. Wait, so radians is just the length of the circumference of the circle. Wait, is that like a direct translation to... Yeah, then I totally misunderstood this. That means it's way simpler than I thought. I guess we can. Why is that in Polish? That's weird. Circumference. That's the word. Oh, yeah, I'm stupid. I mean, radians, that's the word. Radianer. Okay. Never heard that word in my entire life. What the heck is a radian? Okay, let's read some Wikipedia math stuff in Swedish. Här blir det SI-enheten för vinklar. Okay. It's standard what's this word? Standard way of measuring angles, I guess. A radian is the angle of which results in, yeah, translating from Swedish to English is really hard. Okay. Och det andra vanliga vetenskapliga tekniska sammanhang som är matematiskt mer naturligt mått än det artificiella. Vinkeln är A är 1 radian. Sträckan B samma längd som radien R. Oh, I think I understand now. So it's kind of, if this is R, so R and B should be the same length at 1 radian. Am I understanding this correctly? 2 pi radians equals the circumference. Oh, yeah. I think I understand this somewhat, at least. Should we do like a paint session again? Delete all of this. The SI is international system. Yeah, I know. What units used internationally? Yes. So basically, if we have a circle here, okay, that's the worst circle ever drawn in my entire life. Let's try to do that better with this tool. Okay, so we have this very nice looking circle, and then we can do this here. This is like, and then we do this, and then, okay, maybe I somewhat understand this, at least. I'm not really sure. So it's kind of based on how big the circle is as well. This is exercise for my brain. Okay. Using it for your gun. Yes. Can I just do this in a way that doesn't require my brain to think? Okay, we're down to 3 people now. That's not many people. I might end the stream in within 10 minutes from now. I'm tired of talking. Inline float angle degrees. Yeah, STD, is that something? Okay, that's the inbuilt function of the standard library. I see. How do I convert the direction to degrees? Minimal example. Yeah, learn C++. I'm very mediocre at math, but I'm quite okay at programming. So I should probably learn math, to be honest. Okay, so this is just a magic number, I guess, that handles the conversions. I think I have to do like some do something with radians to understand how they work. Just kind of makes sense in my head, but I can't really visualize it. Okay, so I guess I could put this in, where is this? Yeah, I have I just define constants here, basically. Why not put this, maybe we can do something like this. Math stuff. And then I can put it there. I think, is that already defined, maybe? It's that like, yeah. Maybe that's something that comes with... Oh yeah, I think that's something that comes with the Raylib library. In case the ChatGPT is so stupid, I guess. That's interesting. Yeah, I might do another stream sometime next week. Maybe next Sunday again. Maybe I should always do Sunday streams. And only that. That makes it reliable. So people know when I'm going to stream. But maybe I'm going to do a few streams at other times as well. Okay, float angle degrees. Can I just write this in a way that makes sense? And if return 0, yeah, so if the vector is just pointing to nowhere, it returns 0. And then return, so all I have to do really is that I have to, yeah, so atom2, that's all that atom2 does is that it converts it into radians, and then this constant converts the radians into degrees. I think I get this now, maybe. Okay, so we can do, can I write properly? Float degrees equals to std atom2 dir direction dot y direction dot x, and then that multiplied by radius to degrees. Yeah, that's part of the Raylib thing. Okay, it was as I guessed. So if degrees is if it's like higher than 180, what does that do? That should mean that, okay, we'll see. I'm just going to have to try. And then that means that I can flip it around. And that I can do by saying that... Yeah, how do I do that, actually? Maybe I can define the spawn projectile, begin attack animation. This is quite hard. Where do I have the draw function for this? I think I draw it down here somewhere. Attack input handler. Yeah, so I draw it down here. Here I draw the projectiles, update them. I can show you what I'm trying to do. I can just comment this out so it doesn't break anything. I want the gun to not be upside down. That's what I'm trying to do. Since now when it rotates to that it faces the that it faces the mouse, it rotates as well. So it can, yeah, you understand what I mean. I want it to always be yeah, right orientation, you could say. I can show you how it looks. Takes such a long time for it to compile now. Also, if you wait for a few seconds. Yeah, stars, woohoo. Very satisfying to see them popping up. Okay. These buttons they don't look that good. So the sword, it works. Oh yeah, I have a cooldown now as well. Okay, this cooldown was way too long. Okay, so now if I do this, it just doesn't care. It will do a full rotation. When it comes to this point, it should switch orientation, so it isn't upside down. Or actually, it should probably do that. Yeah, at some point it should do that anyway. Okay, so yeah, I don't know how to do this. Maybe I can just copy all this and put it into the draw function of the weapon thing. Yeah, so here I draw it. And I use the player pick center, mouse world, scale, and then the scale here. So I have to probably modify this function here to yes. Okay. Rectangle src equals current frame source. Never seen that before. What's that? Okay, ChatGPT has written very confusing code. What is this? Okay. So this is something that basically just determines what frame to use, I guess. This looks like a total mess to me, though. I don't understand any of this. So that's the source, and this is the destination, like the where it's going to be placed on the screen. And this is the origin. Origin is basically the point from which it rotates. And as you see, that's its middle, because it's divided by 2. So yeah, that makes sense. And then the rotation is... Why is the rotation not done here? Huh. Yeah, I don't at all understand this. Sprite. This is very confusing. Draw texture pro. Like, what does this take in? So this is the texture. That's the rectangle source. Destination, origin, rotation. But if it doesn't draw it with any rotation, why does it rotate? How is this working? This makes like negative sense. Maybe it has something to do with this. I'm not sure. Tangle. The thing is, this code is not at all descriptive. I have no idea what this means. This is not how I did this when I coded this for the first time. Okay, this is highly confusing. This means that I probably have to do something like this and ask, where does the rotation come from when drawing the blaster? Oh wait, no, yeah, I think maybe I was looking at the wrong place. If I go to range weapon, I can. Yeah, I was just stupid. Okay. Yeah, so I see now. This is just my bad. I was looking at the melee weapon instead, and that one doesn't rotate. But at the ranged weapon one, the rotation is here. So angle equals direction. I see. Atom 2F. Yeah, so then it converts, and this is the radian thing. This converts it to degrees, I guess. Yeah, I would never write code like this. And then below here, I guess I could do something like, because this value, I'm guessing this is in degrees. I can't even be sure, to be honest, since, oh shoot, now I pasted the wrong thing. So I can do an if statement. If ang is above 180, maybe. Can it even... Yeah, I don't barely know how stuff works. Then I maybe want to... I remember doing something that was quite smart last time. I made it so that the source was like inverted. Minus equals 180. What would that do? No, that would probably not work, I don't think. That would, I guess we could try. Kind of interested in what that would do. Angle minus equals 180. Why not? If this works. The thing is, I don't want to actually change the rotation. I just want to change the orientation of the sprite itself. Changing the angle in this case, that will just mess with its position itself. So this is not how you do it, I'm pretty sure. I think what I have to do is that I have to change... I have to invert the source rectangle. So that it kind of reads it upside down. Sounds confusing, but I think that should work. So now if I... Okay. Wait. Okay, so this does nothing, it seems like. Huh. Yeah. This was interesting. That was unexpected. I didn't think that would happen. Oh, wait. I see why this is happening. It's because it probably something is probably happening, but since it's happening only, oh no, this should actually work. Huh. What if we change this value to like 90 instead? So if it's more than 90 degrees, it should make the range bigger, I guess. Maybe something happens then. I remember that this confused me last time as well. The compile time is painfully long as well. You have to wait a very long time before it's compiled. I played some Factorio a while ago. Now I'm addicted to it. Yeah, so... Okay, so now something happens. But it happens in a very weird way. You see what I mean? So here it points to... This is so confusing. So it works like normal until you go here and then it just flips around. Huh, okay. Okay, so yeah, this is very weird behavior. Hmm. Uh, Maybe it's like if it's less than 180. I have no idea at this point. How would this do? It's impressive that we still have 4 people watching the stream. This is a very boring stream, so I don't understand how people watch this. Hmm. Yes, terminate. The stream is dope. What are you talking about? Nah, we'll say so. Alright. Let's see if this works like I think it should. Okay, so now it's just upside down and... Yeah, so... That makes no sense at all. Hype up the stream, okay. Yeah, I don't understand this at all. Now it's just the other way around. Maybe I can ask ChatGPT. How do I ask this? How do I check if the if the gun is pointing to the left, I guess. I think that's supposed to be how it works. Short answer. Gotta hype up the stream. Okay. That's going to be hard. So, this stream is literally just me talking about code and some other stuff occasionally. It's very boring, you know? Okay, so let's see here now. Using the direction vector, yes, makes sense. Ball pointing left. Oh, wait, what? Direction X is... Oh. Yeah, this actually makes sense. I actually don't even have to think about angles here, I don't think. Since I can just use the raw direction vector to see if the x coordinate is positive or negative. This makes a lot of sense. Oh, I did that. That's wrong. Okay. So, therefore, doing something like... I guess you can just... So if... Yes, let's do that. Copy this. So if it's more than 0... yeah, we can try to do that. We can invert the angle. Yeah, we are stupid sometimes. Should I play some game? Should I play Factorio on stream? And if the stream crashes, it crashes. I don't really care. I should end it quite soon anyway, so maybe that's a fun thing to do. Because I am very bored. Okay, so let's try this once again. Yeah, so this... Does this even work? No, this does not work. Does something though. Okay, so goes to that point. Huh. Yeah, I'd support that. Okay, then I do that immediately. I usually figure things out better when I am not streaming. So let's just leave this to future me. Let's play some Factorio. Yeah, the flipping is at the wrong angle. Uh, yeah. That's the main problem. I don't think it's going to crash actually. I think I should be able to stream Factorio. Right now it seems to be working anyway. But the game hasn't even started yet, so... Okay, it seems to be lagging a bit. Yeah, this is... Okay. Yeah, the stream might crash. We'll see. Maybe I should go into OBS settings and figure out why it lags so much. Settings. Okay, it's going. It's going. Video. Maybe you can't change this whilst streaming. So like just video quality thing maybe. Okay. Yeah, it's a whole lot of lag. Uh, so that's fun. Let's start a new game. Why not? And why not give me
Hello?
normal values? Hello.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hi, how's it going? You
Uh,
know, changing the settings now won't do anything with the stream, bro. Won't change the settings of the stream.
yeah, I don't think so either. No.
No. Yeah, the stream is, yeah, it's not going forward, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody, if you can hear this, then you guys are black magicians, cause